Welcome back to another Drawing with Trowbro. Today we're going to be looking at the artist Eric Carle. And what's interesting about Eric Carle is not only is he a very famous illustrator, but the way he creates his artwork. Instead of just drawing things, he uses a technique called collaging, where he takes paint and he puts it on paper and makes this really interesting texture, and then cuts it out and glues it on a piece of paper to make all of his images. It's really fun and interesting, and one of the books that we're going to be looking at is The Hungry Caterpillar. And today I'm going to show you how to make a very hungry caterpillar for yourself. So let's get our paper and paint ready and let's get started. Alright, so here I have my Eric Carle Hungry Caterpillar. And you can kind of see that there's a lot of different textures in all of these shapes. This is actually a collage. I took a piece of paper and I colored different colors of red and green and brown, and then I glued them onto this white piece of paper. So before we can actually start drawing our caterpillar, we need to make all these fun textures. And there's a couple different ways to do it. You could use acrylic paint or tempera paint, but let's say you don't have that and all you have is the basic supplies of crowns and watercolor paint, okay? What I'm gonna first do is I'm gonna grab a brown and I'm gonna divide this paper in half. So the bottom half is going to be what my ground is gonna be, okay? And then the top up here is gonna be for my caterpillar, my body, and for his head. So on the bottom, I'm gonna color with my brown crown a bunch of brown. Okay, and then maybe I'm gonna switch around. Normally, I wanna color like really well and press down hard, but this way, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna make it all kind of crazy, color different angles. Maybe I'll do a little bit of scribble scrabble, little tornadoes. I wanna mix it up so it's different in every spot. Because I want it to be kind of crazy. No rhyme or reason for what I'm doing, just kind of going all over the place. Now just brown by itself is a little boring. I'm kind of running out of brown here. I might have to take off the paper. If your crown starts to run out, take your fingernail, just kind of dig it in, and then just peel it around. That's what happens if your crown starts to run out. Alright, that's pretty good, but it's not as crazy as this. I need to add a little bit more. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a black. Find the color a little bit darker. Do I got a black? There's a black oil pastel. That's the only black I have. That's the only black I'm going to use. Alright, that's fine. I have a black oil pastel, but black crown would work too. It doesn't really matter. We just need black. I'm just going to add a little bit of a couple black spots. Just kind of random. Because the dirt is random. Sometimes there's little rocks in it. Sometimes the earth is black. Sometimes it's brown. Sometimes it's red. We get all kinds of colors of dirt. Sometimes it's kind of yellowish, like sand. So maybe I'm going to get my yellow. Maybe add a couple yellow spots here and there too. Kind of crazy. Alright, well, I think this looks pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to do kind of the same thing on the top, but I need to save room for my head, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little line right here, and this will be for my head and my eyes. So I'm going to come over here, do the same thing but with green. Same kind of crazy patterns. Mixing it up. It's okay to turn your paper too. Sometimes I know it can get kind of weird like up here, so sometimes I like going this way, so I'll turn my paper. You do whatever it feels natural to you. Now just like the brown down there, this just by itself is a little boring. Now green has two neighbors in the color wheel, which is yellow and blue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow to this. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue too. Make sure it's blue and not some kind of crazy blue. So like this is right here, it says cerulean. I don't want cerulean, I just want blue, even though cerulean is very bluish. Alright, there's blue. Alright. So kind of going random, and you kind of see like on my caterpillar, there's like kind of randomness in this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut little circles of this out, and this is going to be his body. Alright, looking good. Now, let's do his head and his antenna. I'm going to find a red crayon. Alright, same thing. And I need some different values of my red. So, red, maybe I'll add a little bit of orange here and there. This is actually a red orange. It's kind of nice. Let's get a little bit more orange. Let's get a little bit of a dark red, so I'm going to find my brown again and add some brown to it. Where's my brown? Brown crown. Alright, I like this. Okay. You'll notice with crowns, I wasn't pushing down hard, so there's like all these little white spots. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to paint to get some more variety of color. So I'm going to go to the top and work my way down. So I'm going to get some green, and I'm just going to slather some green watercolor paint right onto this. Nice. And because crowns are made out of wax, there's kind of a resistance. The paper will be protected by the wax. So anything that you colored green or yellow with the crowns will stay that color, even if you put like green watercolor paint on top of it. Make sure that you keep your green inside your little square right here. I like it. Looks cool. So you can kind of see there's like kind of crazy textures going on right there. Then let's move over to red. We're going to do the same thing to red. Make sure you don't get green paint into your red paint, because that would be bad. Green and red are opposite colors, so if you add it, you're going to get some like crazy browns. Nice. Look at that. Alright, and then last is my brown. And after this is done, you're going to have to set this aside and let it dry before you can start cutting this out. So maybe set it aside, maybe wait an hour or so, and then come back, and hopefully it should be all dry. I'm using a big paintbrush, makes it a little bit faster. Don't use like a skinny, tiny paintbrush. I mean, if that's the only paintbrush you have, then yeah, that's what you got to do. But try to use a bigger brush, use the right tool for the right job. Also be careful. Not be in too much of a hurry, because if I get really crazy and then brown drops, then you might have some brown, which, it's okay. You can just work it into your art. But just be careful. Try not to rush too much, because that's when mistakes happen. A little bit more brown, and I'm almost done. Try to make sure you get all these edges. It's okay if you get it on your paper or on your table, because watercolor is not permanent. It should wash right off with a sponge or a paper towel. Almost done. Ooh, paintbrush is looking ugly. A little bit more right here. Alright. Looks good. Alright. And that's going to be all I'm going to do until this is dry, and then we'll start cutting out shapes and making our hungry caterpillar. Alright, so for this next part, I have my nice textures, and they are all dry, and this is what I'm going for, my hungry caterpillar. I'm also going to need a clean piece of paper, nice and clean. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut these different shapes out. You're going to need a pair of scissors. Cut them out. So the red part right here is for my head, my feet, my antennas, and this is for his body. I'm gonna set them aside. I'm gonna start with the ground, okay? Now you'll probably notice that right up here, it's nice and smooth. I even see some green and some red, but the ground is rocky, it's bumpy. So you can see I kind of tore it along that edge. So what I'm gonna do is right here, at the top, I'm gonna start to tear. So I have that nice torn look. I wonder if I would have torn it from the other side. You can see the white right there.
Oh well. All the way down. It'll blend in with the paper, so I'm not worried about it. All the way down. Notice I'm just tearing a little bit off. Okay. All the way down. There we go. And there is our ground, right? There you go. Make sure you line it up. So I'm gonna get my glue stick and I'm going to add some glue. Now what I do is I try to make like a perimeter. I go all the way around the edges. Make sure you get those corners because they tend to like bend up. So get those corners. And then I'm gonna kind of get the middle. Do kind of a little zigzag all the way down. Put my cap back on, make sure it snaps. Then I'm gonna line this up on my paper with the corners. Make sure the corners line up right perfectly on the bottom. And then push it down. And then you wanna hold it down for like 30 seconds. So like 1, 2, and I'm
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29,
30. All right. It's pretty good. If you see it start to pop up anymore, you can just go ahead and push it back down. Now, let's get my body ready. So, I got this nice green rectangle and I need to turn it into little circles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna turn it around to the back because I know the whole thing is green. And I'm gonna use a black colored pencil so you can see it better. And I'm gonna draw some nice big ovals for his body. You want like 5 or 6. Nice and big. I'm trying to use all of this paper. I don't want to waste too much of it. All right, and one more. Right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's how many I have on my body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looking good. All right, now I'm gonna cut these circles out. So time for a time lapse. All right, I have now cut out all of my pieces. Now you're gonna save some of this. Don't throw it away right away because we need green for his eyeballs. So don't throw it away just yet. So I got my body right there. I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna draw his head and his antenna real quick. So turn it over and his feet too. So what I'm gonna probably do, let's see, look at this. Let's look at this. All right, I'm gonna draw a little long rectangle here. This is actually gonna be for his feet. A nice long strip like that. The reason why is because then what I'm doing is I'm gonna make this at an angle. So I'm gonna do kind of like a zigzag pattern. I'm gonna do like, I'll cut that at an angle and then that at an angle, and I'm just gonna go down making all these little triangle shapes. You see how those are triangles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's enough. So notice that these, I just cut little triangles. I don't just stay perfectly on the lines, you know, just get it close. See nice little feet shapes right there for my hungry caterpillar. Okay, you only need 6. So if you have 7, that's good. I can just like choose which ones I like the best. Like maybe the one with the green. You know what, I'm gonna keep the one with the green. I don't know. They're all good, they're all good. Now let us draw his head. How about this? I'm gonna draw his head. A nice big oval right there for his head. You want it to be about the same size as the other ones. And then his antenna. His antenna are nice and long. Right next to it. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut this out. And then I'm gonna have basically all of my pieces of my hungry caterpillar. Notice that I don't need to stay perfectly on the lines. Because if I turn this over, you're not gonna see any of those lines I used to draw. Once I turn it over, you don't see any of that. I'm a big fan of that. There, get rid of that. Now for his antenna, it's okay if they're a little different shape, that's all right. None of us are completely symmetrical, you know? One ear might be a little bit bigger than the other, or you never know. We're not very symmetrical people. We have approximate symmetry. We look very similar, our left and right side, but you know, sometimes we'll have a freckle on one side and not on the other. So, get all my pieces. So, got my antenna. Got my head. Got my body. All right, let's go ahead, and you'll probably notice that on my head, inside the eyes, I have 2 little green circles. Those are actually yellow. I painted it yellow, but I'm gonna make, let's do 2 eyes. So I just got a piece of white scrap paper, and I need to draw 2 ovals. And then cut them out. Remember, if you can't trace completely on the line or cut along the line, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even if you see some of it, because I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to put the glue on that side. So when I turn it over, you're not going to see any of that. And if you feel like that's too big, I can pick that up and trim it down, make it a little bit smaller. Get another one. Just kind of turning the paper as I cut. This is good practice for your hands, your dexterity. All right, perfect. And then with my extra green paper, I need to, I'm going to cut this off because it's right here. They need to be smaller than those. It has to fit inside of it. So I'm just going to make like small ones. Here we go. Nice. The smaller they are, the harder they're to cut out, but that's okay. I'm going to take my time. I just kind of rotate my paper as I cut. So I squeeze my hand a little bit and then I turn the paper. So squeeze a little bit, turn the paper. Perfect. Or close enough. Maybe it's not perfect. Nothing's really perfect. You just get it close and it'll look good. So squeeze a little bit, turn. 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 Squeeze a little bit and turn. There. There. I think I have basically all of my pieces of my caterpillar. And now I'm going to kind of start to place it. I got all the pieces. I got feet. I got antenna. I got face. I got eyes. I got body. I got it all. Got all the pieces. Now, notice that my hungry caterpillar here, he kind of goes up and then down. So I'm going to try to copy that the best I can. Glue stick. Squeeze it a little bit. All right. Make sure you get those edges. I'm going to put it really close, kind of to the end right here, and really close to the ground. If you want to, you can like hold that down for like 15 seconds. Now this one is going to go up a little bit, and you need to make sure they're touching right there. You don't want to go like that because then it looks like somebody, you know, broke your caterpillar in half. We don't want that. Notice all my different textures. All right, I'm gonna go up one more. All right, now I have 6 circles, so that means that since I've done 3, I've done half. So now that I went up, now I'm gonna go back down. So, because you know, caterpillar kind of goes rink, rink, rink. So he's about to stretch out and move a little bit. So I'm gonna here. Going down again. Make sure you don't go all the way to the end because you know you got to put his head right there. So you don't want to like stretch him out really far. You kind of need him to go ring, ring. Also, you want to make sure that you get it close enough to the ground so his feet are touching the ground. We don't want him like jumping up. They don't really like gallop like a horse. Okay, good. I'm gonna go ahead and put his head on, and then I'll put his feet and face on. All right. He's looking sharp. All right, now let's get these feet on. Okay, I'm gonna put a foot right down here. Now, Eric Carle's on his version, he's got like 2 in the back, and then he's got 4 up in the front. So, try to copy it the best I can. Another foot. So I try to put it where it's touching the body and the ground, so he's on the ground. You don't want him like floating up in the air. That's silly. Maybe you want silly. Who knows? Maybe you want a flying caterpillar. Glue is on my finger. I have glue on my finger. That's right. Wash my hands afterwards. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. This is so sticky. Glue the white part. Turn it over. Maybe these feet aren't on the ground. That's okay. our last foot. There we go. He's walking along, he's happy. All right, let's do his antenna. I like these antennae. All right, ooh, he's getting kind of off the paper. So maybe I'll do right there. And I'll put this one right here. I kind of slanted them so they wouldn't be sticking off the page. So then let's do white. Where's one of his eyeballs? Oh no, I did the wrong side. I want to make sure I glue the part where I have my pencil marked so you don't see it. So I'm just going to put glue on this side. So the other side's a little sticky. That's okay. I want to put the green eye on there. So glue the part that has the colored pencil. I got to remember that. Alright. Now for his green eyes. Da, da, da. He's looking cute. I like him. Here. Okay. Now, you need some colored pencils because on Eric Carle's, all right, he has all these little hairs, green, red, and blue hairs all the way down. And then for his mouth, I'm just gonna use my black colored pencil. Sometimes you can get like a brown piece of paper if you have any and make a mouth, but I'm just gonna use my black colored pencil. Just gonna make a little smile, color it in with my black colored pencil. I think that'll be fine. It looks good. He looks happy. And then that's all that matters. Then let's get my colored pencil, and I'm just gonna do little hairs along his body. Leave room for the green and the blue ones, so just kind of going randomly. Not going crazy with his hairs. Sometimes less is more. Alright, and then I'll do my blue ones. And I kind of just go in between the ones I already made. Same thing, kind of sporadic. Leave room for your green ones. Alright, and then to my green ones. He's looking very hairy. Maybe I'll name him Harry. Harry the Caterpillar. Alright, I'm almost done. The last thing is on Eric Carle's version, he takes yellow paint and he paints right along the top of those hairs and in these little bitty corners right there and a little bit around his ears and the white. I'm not sure why he does this, but it has a good effect. It looks cool, so we're gonna do it because that's what Eric Carle did. So get my watercolor paint ready, and I'm just gonna use my skinnier brush and get this nice and yellow. So swirl this around, and then I'm just gonna go right on top of those hairs. Little rainbows, just a little arch, little arch, little arch, little arch. Then his eyes. And I don't think you have to do it perfect too. If there's like little bits of white left over, I think that's fine. I think it looks a lot like Eric Carle's actually. Okay, a little around his antenna. Then a little bit in those, right in these little corners, these little crevices of the caterpillar. All right. I think we're good. I think our caterpillar looks nice. It looks a little different than the one I made with the acrylic paint. Eric Carle actually used tissue paper and put like acrylic paint on tissue paper. That's how his looks so unique. But I think it gets the job done. Looks nice. It's different, but it looks good. Has a lot of fun textures and stuff. People be like, "How you made that?" And be like, "Well, I watched Mr. Trowbridge and he showed me how." Awesome.
Well, kiddos, I hope you had fun making your Hungry Caterpillar. I think Eric Carle has a great style and it's really fun to play with. So I want to see you guys experimenting and having fun with collage. And I'll see you next time on Drawing with Trowbro.